Good afternoon again, everyone. I know it's a long day. We're about to start. So we were supposed to have 2 panels this afternoon, but in the interest of time, we have decided to merge them together. We have just about an hour to complete this merger, as I would like to say. My name is Fariza Hanif, and I'll be chairing this session this afternoon. So the 2 topics that we have up for discussion is the innovative tools for research and monitoring and conservation perspectives through the lens of gender, youth, and traditional knowledge leaders. And your 2 moderators for this session will be Dr. Priya Maharaj, the Director for the Center for Study of Biological Diversity, and Dr. Gillian Smith, FAO representative in Guyana. I will hand this session over to the 2 brilliant minds for the moderators. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to our session. As we think of biodiversity, we think simply of the diversity of life on our globe. And as we think about how we are going to do research and how we are going to monitor this biodiversity, we must ensure that it's covered on the 3 levels: on the genetic level, on the species level, and the all-encompassing ecosystem level. Today, as we sit with our esteemed panel, we will learn about some of the tools that they are currently using for research and monitoring. And in addition to that, what lessons they have learned from their tools.
Thank you very much, Priya. And at the same time, and very complementary to what that part of the conversation, we're also going to have some very important expertise here with us today. We have persons who are walking the talk and living the life, living the biodiversity. And these are persons who can tell us about gender, they can tell us about youth, and they can tell us about the indigenous knowledge that goes into biodiversity and living the biodiversity life. So today we're going to try and kick off very quickly, but before we go much further, we're just going to do a quick round of introduction of all our participants, and you will find very soon that they're very mixed here on the podium. And part of that is because these 2 topics, I think, are they mixed quite well. So I think without further ado, I'm going to start to my right, and you can introduce yourself, who you are, and a little what you are going to talk about.
Hi, my name's Lauren Code. I work for C4 ICRAF, and I'm the biodiversity focal point for C4 ICRAF. We are currently running a biodiversity monitoring project in Guyana, and so we're here to talk a little bit about that. And I'll pass over to my colleague, Michelle.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Kenyon. I'm the site coordinator for the Sustainable Wildlife Management Program with its field site in the Rupununi Region 9. And as Lauren mentioned, we're here to talk about some of our experiences in the Rupununi and also our biodiversity monitoring component. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Tusha Moreno, also the chairman of the South Rupununi District Council. Yeah, we are here to talk about our council and the experiences and the work that we do within the South Rupununi, combined of 21 communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicholas Fredericks, Tusha of Shulenab Village, the only Makushi-speaking village in the South Rupununi. I'm also the vice chair of the South Rupununi District Council. We work with the 21 communities, and we are here to share the work that we have been doing in terms of biodiversity conservation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tushao Sonia Latchman, Tushao of Bethany Amerindian Village, located in region number 2. I'm also the vice chair of the National Tushao's Council. What I'll be speaking about this afternoon is about women and youth and how we integrate traditional knowledge in protecting biodiversity.
Thank you very much, and I was very rude. My name is Gillian Smith, and I work with the FAO.
Good afternoon. My name is Cletus Sprenger. I am the chairman of the Caribbean Natural Resources Institute, which is a 30-year-old civil society organization that has been working in collaborative or participatory natural resources management across the Caribbean. I also chair the Board of Governors of the South West Community College, and prior to this, I was director of the Department of Sustainable Development of the OES in Washington. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ailsa Henderson. I'm the Centre Director at the Sophia Point Rainforest Research Centre. We are a rainforest research centre situated on the east bank of the Essequibo River, and we focus on community inclusion, capacity building, research and education. And we're here to talk today about our innovative and traditional monitoring and research conservation.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Moron Zambrano. I conservation biology. I work with environmental communities in the Amazon and also in the Andean countries of Venezuela. And I've been involved in movement of young in Latin America and in my country, working for the conservation of the natural areas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isis Duran. I'm in the panel of youth and also woman empowerment, and I'm going to share some experiences from Colombia. I'm sustainability and social expert over there.
And I'm Priya Maharaj. I'm the director, well, both. I'm the director for the Center for the Study of Biological Diversity, and we house the national reference and research collections for the country. In addition to that, we're involved in biodiversity education and supporting biodiversity monitoring and conservation projects around the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so today, what our format is going to be, it's a little bit different. We are going to be asking our panelists some questions to stimulate the conversation. And at some point soon in the conversation, we hope that you will also join in and provide us with your questions and your comments as well. So Priya, if you're good, I'd ask you to go ahead and start.
Yes, thank you very much. So I'd like to start with Ailsa and Sophia Point. And I would like you to tell us a little bit about some of the monitoring programs that you have running at the center and any lessons that you have learned so far from those programs.
Thank you, Priya. So at Sophia Point, we are developing a long-term integrated monitoring framework that brings together novel scientific tools and traditional monitoring methods, such as camera trapping, bioacoustics, and working with University of Guyana on starting environmental genomic work. With as well as integrating traditional ecological knowledge and community-based observation. And what's really important is this layered approach allows us to understand not just what species are present, but how biodiversity is responding to, as we all know, the climate change and pressures that are happening on a global scale. So this layered approach is really, really important. And I think the Guyana Shield, where Sophia Point and Guyana is based, it's home to the biodiversity. It just blows me away every day. It's absolutely phenomenal. But I think one of the things to be aware of is that there are lots of endemic species that are very vulnerable to climate change, and there's also a lot of species, excitingly, which are unknown, but this raises the risk of losing species before we even know what they are and what roles they're playing in the ecosystem. So it's an amazing ecosystem, but equally fragile. And I think that's also why we highly value integrating traditional knowledge, because our local community and our indigenous, whether that be our rangers or the local Tushao or people that we work with that come to the centre, they have been working and living alongside this ecosystem, and they have deep generational knowledge about species and about species patterns that science hasn't even begun to unlock. So it's really, really, really important. And ultimately, our goal at Sophia Point is to build a robust and adaptive monitoring system that can guide biodiversity conservation and can, not only through data, but through shared stewardship and equity on a local, national and global scale. And I think one of the lessons that we've maybe learned in terms of our integrating new and innovative tools is that while they're very, very exciting, you can't get away from traditional monitoring. You have to get on the ground. So I think that's one of the lessons learned, is it's about integrating and building a robust platform that looks at novel and traditional monitoring tools and traditional knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Ilse, over to you, Julian.
Thank you. And I'm just going to bounce off of what Isla said, and I'm coming over here to the panel over here. I did tell Tushao I would start with her, but I'm going to actually pass over, and I think it's I start with Tushao Moreno, or I start with the question. Okay, yes, thank you. The question that I have, based on what Isla was saying about traditional knowledge, can you give us some examples of how traditional knowledge has been incorporated in ensuring or strengthening biodiversity and that biodiversity approach?
Yeah, thank you. We in the South Rupununi have been the persons that biodiversity and this territory, the eco system that is within our area has been passed on to us generations to generations. And being a leader, under previous other leader before me, we keep that trend of keeping that biodiversity intact within our area. And of lately, we have been using traditional knowledge and technology in order to have a better data within our area in terms of biodiversity in our area.
Thank you so much, Tushao. And I was told that there's more work that you're doing, so you've been able to have a successful engagement. What comes next?
Okay, thank you. So, in the South Rupununi, we were involved in mapping of our lands, including our customary use of biological resources, hunting areas, fishing areas, gathering areas. And then we put together a territorial plan which outlined how we in the South see development taking place, using our knowledge, the resources that we have, and how do we balance development with nature. So now we have conducted basic studies under the Convention on Biological Diversity, Article 10C, to show how we, the indigenous people in the South Rupununi, have been traditionally managing our lands and resources. Now, we have a territorial plan that we have developed since 2010, and that is the plan that we continue to implement, because in that plan it talks about how do we take care of our forests, our savannas, our creeks, our mountains, our sacred sites. There is a comprehensive plan, and also how do we see development moving forward, considering all the different trends of development that we see happening here, which is very disruptive to nature. We heard all the governments talking this morning about the urgency in terms of what we need to do. It's a crisis if we don't take this step now. And we have realized that in the South. We have been working there since over 20 years now, and chair of the organization, I'm the vice chair. We continue, and we are very passionate about this. We thank His Excellency for bringing us to this forum here, and we hope that moving forward, after this summit, that we are not just brought here to show our good stories, but how our stories, how our programs, how can our work, the shamanic study that we did, the cultural heritage policies, that we are developing for our cultural areas, our headwater protection that we are doing, our environmental monitoring. We now do eDNA monitoring in the South. We have mercury testing equipment to do water testing. I see my good friend Calvin Bernard here. We have been working a long time, and we have noticed that without indigenous people, without our plans being taken up to influence national policy, Guyana and the rest of the world stand to really have increased the loss of biodiversity. So we want to call on this summit here. We recognize the importance to really include us, the people of the South Rupununi, the Wapichan people, because we have a lot of information, we have a lot of structures in place as to how we can help Guyana to achieve its 30 by 30 target. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, both of you, and we're coming back to you because you've given us a lot to talk about. I'm going to hand back over to Priya, and then we're coming back over.
Thank you very much for those powerful words, Tushar. And picking up on that, I'm going to ask Michelle and Lauren if you can talk about a particular project or program that you are currently running to monitor biodiversity and the lessons from those.
Thank you, Priya. So for us at the Sustainable Wildlife Management Program, as I mentioned earlier, our field site is the Rupununi Region 9, and we really work through local partners. The SRDC is one of our local partners, and we have worked with them and is still working with them in the implementation of their Wapshanwij Wildlife Management Plan, which covers the entire South Rupununi. Apart from that, we, in Phase 2, the SWM Phase 2, we have started a new component called the biodiversity component. And this really, we're trying to answer this question of what is the best method to measure changes in biodiversity that is cost-effective and scientifically verifiable. So our work, we work with 7 villages in Region 9. We work with 3 villages in the South Rupununi and 4 villages in the North Rupununi. These villages were identified because of the long-term collaboration with SWM and our local partners. And also these villages, they have established village-level committees that look at fish management and wildlife management. So they have the foundation for the work that we started, this new component called the biodiversity component. So this biodiversity component, we're implementing 6 methods: eDNA, passive acoustic monitoring, camera traps, fish stock, local knowledge, and one eDNA is bird counts. Bird counts. So what we're looking at 3 main groups: fish, mammals, and birds. These groups were chosen because they're the most the villages identify them as the most relevant or of the most interest for the communities. And how we work through the villages and through those established committees. So in the South Rupununi, we work through the established wildlife committee. They were trained and are now hired to do biodiversity monitoring in their area. What we have noticed is that the young people are very quick with the tech-savvy devices, but the older people are not so quick to pick it up, but they know their area so well, and the young people doesn't know it so well. So that is some of the things we've noticed. But one of the things we're trying out too is, so we're comparing the methods to see which method or which combination would give us the answer, what is most cost-effective and scientifically verifiable. And as I mentioned, one of the methods is local knowledge. So at the end of this 2 years, it's for 2 years, we will have the answer that could potentially be upscaled across Guyana. As from all the talks this morning, we're talking about biodiversity credits, and I think we have a lot to contribute, the SWM program, and we will have an answer. How, in terms of analysis, what we're doing, am I taking up too much time?
Well, no, but I definitely want to pick up on some of the things that you'd said before.
Okay.
No, you want to finish what you're saying, and then we'll pick up on something else.
Yes, so in terms of analysis, we're working with Map of Life, and they're an online platform out of the University of Yale by the Center for Biodiversity and Global Change. And what's happening is that we're taking the devices, we're uploading the data, and they're using AI models to analyze the data. So we have an online dashboard where I can log in to see the results as they come in. Very cool. And I think going forward, this is just one of the ways that we can really merge technology and where the world is going with AI, how we work with local communities, and also really merging the two to find the best way forward for biodiversity monitoring.
Michelle, thank you so much. I'm going to maybe just go quickly to Tushao Lachman to pick up on something that Michelle was saying and ask you, Tushao, how can we ensure that women and youth are not just participants, but they are leaders in biodiversity conservation processes?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I must say that as a woman leader, I'm happy to be here on this panel with the other Tushaos and the other panelists here. And so, as it relates to women and youth, I must say women and youth plays a very, very important role when it comes to biodiversity and integrating that with traditional knowledge. I can also tell you that in various communities across the region, across Guyana, we have been very much involved in various decision making when it comes to our village, decisions at the village level. Not only decisions at the village level, but at the higher level with government, especially at the multi-stakeholder steering committee, that is with the government, the president, the vice president, and so on. But at the village level, I can tell you that women are being very much involved, and youths as well. Now, we have some very good examples, especially from the Rupununi and Region 1 and so on, and across other regions where women are being involved in Wildlife Club. We have Caroline Alicock from the Rupununi. She has been very, very active when it comes to biodiversity, and she has been having wildlife clubs within various villages. And this is very important, teaching young children about biodiversity and how we can preserve this, how important it is. And so they just don't go and listen. They create various posters of birds or of animals, and she make it very interactive with them. We also have villages, and women, again, are involved in these things. Village developed wildlife protection guidelines that Tushao was talking about earlier. We have villages that build wildlife checkpoints, and these are all there to protect our biodiversity. Of course, again, women and youth are always in decision making at the village levels, at their village general meeting. Most times, as Tushaos, we know most times women usually come to our village general meeting and not the males. So we are very much involved in decision making. Specifically, I must make mention of the LCDS. Right now, we have a plan, the 10 years village plan. And again, when we ask for participants to come out and be a part of your own village plan, we are seeing youths and we are seeing women mostly. And again, women are taking the front of this, the front role, the main role rather. And in that plan, we have various programmatic areas like education, livelihood, tradition, and culture. And so I can tell you that the LCDS program, it is very important to us as indigenous peoples. And in that plan, I know for sure villages have been putting aside funding for various programs, such as the forest monitoring or capacity building or something to deal with biodiversity. And all this did not just happen because of a show. It happened because of a collective voice of indigenous peoples. It happened because we see there is a need for this. And most importantly, it happened because of political will, where our government has indigenous peoples involved in decision making, in plans, in helping with policies at the Multi-Stakeholder Steering Committee and at the National Tushaus Council Annual Conference. And so, yes, women and youths are being involved. My colleagues know that for sure. Anything in the village, the woman comes out more. So thank you very much.